Live. I am so glad you're here. We've got the amazing Mr. Jerry Potter back in the hot seat today. I guess it's not a hot seat. He's going to be giving us a lot of information about all these new YouTube changes that are rolling out. And it's funny because Paul's is co-hosting today, the amazing Paul Gowder, and he was the one who brought me all this news. He had a post about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, we got to get Jerry on the show because he knows all the things YouTube. I really like his channel. So this is going to be fun. So thanks for joining us again, Jerry.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm always ready to geek out about YouTube.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, like, by the way, you guys don't do it now, but right after the show, go to Jerry's YouTube channel because he actually did a long form video about this topic that I actually used to help put the show together. So make sure you guys go check out his videos and watch all those because he is great with all that thing. So let me go and make sure that all my windows are open. I got to find my comment tracker. But Paul, how are you doing today? How's everything where in your neck of the woods? Are you home for a while? Are you traveling? You getting on a boat? Because you're always going somewhere.
We have about 20 days till our next cruise. So we're at home for a couple more weeks. But yeah, and it's a good day. It's a good day so far.
Yeah. Where are you going for your big trip?
We are doing a 12-night Greece cruise.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, cool.
I know. Yeah.
Really looking forward to it.
So we've already got some of our amazing friends showing up. We've got the Zach Brown, who helps co-host the show, saying, hello, everyone. We've got Disney Hotel Lady saying, happy Friday. I'm not in a school bus. Happy summer. Yes, that's amazing. I know she does. That's her kind of hustle where she drives a school bus. So I bet you're loving not having to get up and pick up those wild children. So with that, I'm going to hit go on the podcast machine and we will get started. Hello, folks. Welcome to Creator News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
And I'm Paul Gowder, and this is the show that keeps you up to date with what's happening in the world of the creator economy and so much more.
What happens to all the YouTube videos when you've already made when search bar starts answering questions instead of just listing results? What does it mean when your shorts start paying you based on whether people finished watching and not if they just swipe past? And what do you do when brand deals start getting matched by AI with or without you? If that sounds interesting to you, you are in the right place because that's what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to get these answers. Today, we're sitting down with Jerry Potter, a 20-year broadcast veteran and host of the Done by Lunch Entrepreneur podcast. He's also the creator behind a 150,000 subscriber YouTube channel that teaches entrepreneurs how to run their businesses in half the time. Jerry's going to walk us through some of the big changes happening in YouTube over the last few weeks and tell us what we need to do with each one.
So sit back, clear your schedule, clear your mind, and get ready for this week's episode of Creator News Live.
It's Creator AI rewrote the day. Jerry Potter is here with a smarter way. From shorts to the search bar, the rules are reborn. You'll be done by lunch with a brand new norm.
That's right, folks. Jerry Potter is here with us to talk about all these crazy new things happening on YouTube. But I do want to give a big shout out to my friends over at Ecamm. You can find out more about them at ecamm.com/Jeff. You can save 15% by using your code Jeff15 for your first purchase. We're actually getting ready next month to go to a camp that they're putting on. It's actually on top of Macstock. It's like right before Macstock. We're going to be staying for Macstock. And so it's July 9th. At Crystal Lake, Illinois, outside of Chicago. We got some great people there. I'm going to be speaking. So if you're going to be there, let me know because I would love to go and hang out, have some coffee with you, sit down and nerd out about all the stuff that we talk about today and in past weeks. So check it out, July 9th at Crystal Lake, Illinois. All right, Mr. Potter. There's so much stuff to talk about. I know Paul is chomping at the bit too because he's a creator. But I wanted to ask the audience: have you tried this new Ask YouTube yet? The new AI search on YouTube. So drop yes, no, or what is that in the chat. Like if you don't know, just say what are you talking about? Right. So I want to know where you guys have. I had to go check after I contacted Jerry. We were going to talk about the show. I have it on mobile, so I can go in there and I have that little Gemini gem where I can tap and ask YouTube in that way. I don't have it on my desktop yet, but it is on mobile. So we're going to be talking all about that today. But Jerry, I really wanted to know from you is like, it just launched this Ask YouTube, this conversational AI search that pulls these clips from long form videos into and shorts to answer a question that you might have, right? So for a creator who's spent years, and we mentioned you have over 150,000, subscriber YouTube channel, you spent years building this library. What is your reaction to this? Like, is it an opportunity or is it a threat?
Well, I think like everything, it's a little bit of both. But I am a YouTube Premium user, and I think it's only available for Premium right now. But I couldn't find it. I did try on mobile because I know YouTube releases some stuff that's only on mobile sometimes. But I do think when I see things like this, and my threat response goes up, like, oh man, what's this going to mean? And while I haven't seen the Ask YouTube part, I know when I've just been browsing YouTube, I've seen these little things where it's like, hey, you want us to just tell you what this video is about? And my consumer response has been interesting because rather than clicking that, my consumer response has been like, oh, I don't know if I want you to tell me or not. And then I keep scrolling. Like, it puts me in indecision mode. So that's making me not watch the video almost in a different way. But, when I see this kind of thing that like feels like a threat, I just use it as a reminder of, okay, we just need to do better, perhaps in many, many different ways. Now, that being said, we have to keep in mind that YouTube has been taking clips of our videos and serving them up in search results for years.
Right.
I remember when I first started adding chapters to some of my videos, and probably at least 4 years ago now, if not more. And all of a sudden, I was showing up in Google search because that chapter answered that question. So part of this, I don't think we need to panic because I don't think it's new in the same way. It's just AI is obviously making the whole thing smarter. But I'm curious, Jeff, like when you tried it, did it give you a bunch of thumbnails saying watch this first and then this, or what did you see when you briefly tried it?
So this is very nerdy, but I'm actually I was researching how to use an airbrush. So I got an airbrush to paint some of my models and like the carvings that I do. And so I used it for that, and it just surfaced those, like, I was like, how to clean an airbrush, right? Because that's a big thing. And it did that. It got me a list of thumbnails, and I would click on them, and I could see the answer to that question. The thing that I'm wondering is like how, I don't understand how it works with, monetization. Like, when you hit a certain level and you have enough subscribers, you're monetized on YouTube, and they pay you for ads that are played there. And I know this is only for Premium, which you don't see ads. And like, how is that going to affect like the money you make as a YouTube creator? Do you have any idea on that?
That's where I think it's absolutely going to be a threat if you're earning a lot of your income from AdSense, because I think it's going to be the same thing that we saw happen with people who were making their money from blog traffic over the last, several years since ChatGPT came out, right? All of a sudden, first, blog traffic started going down because Google started giving answers right at the top of the search results, and you no longer needed to click through. And then, of course, beyond that, ChatGPT and Claude and other platforms are giving answers. So I think when you get to that point, nobody lands on your blog, nobody sees your ad, nobody clicks your ad, you don't get paid anymore. And I think this is going to be the same thing. If somebody can get an answer without having to watch the video, then yeah, you're not going to get paid. Now, if they do have to watch the video, I think even just part of it, as long as there's an ad at the front, then I think there's still potential there for you to get paid. But this really comes down to, I've been thinking about how podcasting has blown up on YouTube, right? Last couple of years. But podcasting generally, if you're doing a podcast like this, we are doing it with an audio first mentality. Right. Like right before we went live, I said, remind me, this goes out as audio as well. Okay, if anything visual comes up, like if I refer to something in my background, then I will make sure to describe it for the audio audience. But when you are doing that, now we've removed the reason that somebody has to actually watch the video. So where my mind goes, and I kind of already do this because I do a lot of tutorials, but where my mind goes is making sure there are visual reasons to watch the video that can't just be grabbed from, watching the transcript. Yeah. Somebody who creates content on YouTube, I can tell you, sometimes I'll grab the transcript, especially on a long video, and I'll drop it into ChatGPT or Claude and just say, hey, tell me what the key points are in this video, anything new and innovative. Because I can't watch all the content. There's a lot of content.
Right. Yeah. It's overwhelming.
And as somebody who fell victim of the whole SEO and blog traffic change, I mean, it still hurts, right? To look, I don't even like to look at my ad revenue some days. It's tough. And so that was my first thought as a YouTube creator. What is this going to do to my back catalog of videos? Are they still valuable? And so for somebody, that is a creator sitting on lots of old videos, what should we be doing with that? How do we leverage that? Is there recommendations for what we can do with all of our videos now?
Well, I think the first thing, if we just step back, big picture, and I don't know that there are many people that are only earning a full-time living from AdSense revenue these days. But, I remember long time ago where there were all these news articles and it's like, this woman opens toys and makes $1 million a month from AdSense. You remember those stories?
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? Yeah. That's so cool. I want to open toys. Right. And so I think the first thing for all creators is we just need to step back and go, okay, well, how else can I diversify my income? And of course, AdSense is only one of many ways that creators can make money now. The most obvious ones are, of course, going to be, affiliate promotions, sponsorships, different things like that. And then from the entrepreneur side where I am, it's like, make stuff to sell to your audience. One of the things that I talk about a lot is when you have, there's two paths on YouTube. There is that influencer creator path, and then there is that entrepreneur path. And the best thing about being an entrepreneur on YouTube is you can make money from your first video because you already have something to sell. So it's like one viewer is profitable and I don't have to wait it to even be monetized by YouTube. Now, I think, especially over the last couple of years, the entrepreneur path and the creator path kind of merge, right? Over time. It's because now, it depends on the circle I'm in, but I usually refer to myself as an entrepreneur first. If I'm around kids, then I call myself a YouTuber because that, gets me credibility there. Right. But overall with this, there's lots of ways to make money from a YouTube channel. So I think that's the first step, is just make sure that AdSense is not the only way you're thinking about making money. Beyond that, though, to answer your question, Paul, I don't know that there's a whole lot we can do with the back catalog at this point. But going forward, I would start thinking about, okay, how can I make videos that can answer questions in a visual way? Because I also think this is the thing that prevents ChatGPT from just answering the question and not sending anybody to your video. Right. I watch my traffic sources and my analytics to see, okay, what types of videos what types of videos are getting traffic from different sources? And OpenAI or ChatGPT comes up a lot. I'm getting thousands of views from them sending me traffic. But I also look at what are the types of videos that's actually happening on. And it's the stuff where you're showing something, you're demonstrating something. And so I think, for people that are in a thought leader space, it doesn't necessarily have to be, okay, now I have to teach a screen recording, but we can all do things, whether it's an interesting sketch or framework or something. But I think, okay, how can I be more visual in my videos beyond just having a motion graphic that's showing the words that I'm talking about?
So one of the things I'm thinking about, like small business owners, and of course, he's amazing anyway, but Roger Wakefield, he started as a plumber, he went to social media marketing world, and, he started doing YouTube videos for stuff like those demo things you're talking about. Like if I need to replace the flapper on my toilet, I'm going to Google that. I'm going to look at it on YouTube and it's going to show me a video. Well, now it's going to show me, like if I just need to replace the flapper and a guy's doing a whole rebuild on its toilet, I'm only going to see the flapper part, right? So should creators put something, or be very, very specific in their calls to action in their description and comments? I mean, I guess that's kind of best practices now, but is there anything else that you can think of about, really directing people, hey, I have more than just this little video on how to fix a flapper on a toilet kind of thing?
So are you asking, if somebody only watches part of the video, right, how do we
get
forward?
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of trying to get my mind around, because I know a lot of people, especially small businesses who are like a florist or a plumber or a carpet cleaner or something like that, they're trying to do these videos to get noticed. And if they're doing these little things, how can they optimize that short amount of time that they'll have?
Yeah. So if you're watching 50 seconds out of a 20-minute plumbing tutorial, there's only so much you can do just realistically. Like, it's not like every 12 seconds. So, I used to work as a radio personality, and we had this rule in radio. And one of the things with radio is kind of like live streams. People are coming and going all the time. So you could never assume that somebody in that moment knew what was happening. So if we were interviewing, like, let's say Taylor Swift, at least every 60 seconds, we would say, we're talking to Taylor Swift, and then go into the next question. So you sort of reset it. But I don't think you can do that in a plumbing video, where it's like, by the way, I'm a professional, and you can book down below every 30 seconds just to make sure you capture somebody. So, my main answer is, like, don't necessarily get too discouraged by that, because if your bit becomes the one that people watch, the rest of your video views are going to go up from that. I truly believe that. But from that, one of the things that I work with my clients on a lot is, how can we just seed our authority, our professionalism, all of those things in the video as much as possible without selling. And so sometimes it's just the verbiage that you use. And so if I was fixing a toilet, I might say, more than once in the video, when we do this in our clients' homes or in our customers' homes, or, something that builds the authority, or, here in Orlando where I live, as an example, it's really humid. So this part actually is, it's a little slippery today, the bulb's slippery, or I don't know, whatever it might be. But there are little things that you can do like that. And then the last thing I think is, I think on-screen graphics are underestimated in some places, and not that you would just have a book now throughout a 20-minute toilet repair tutorial, but you could have something like that, your website, your phone number, pop up every 45 seconds or so without taking away from what you're doing.
Oh, great ideas. Great ideas.
Maybe even tagging the recommended flapper to
to your Amazon storefront.
Shopping on YouTube. Yeah. Well, in the past, you've talked a lot about, high leverage assets. If you're a small business owner out there and you haven't pulled the trigger yet with a YouTube video, are you still recommending that for small businesses? Is it more urgent now, or should they just approach this completely differently?
You mean because we may see views go down because of this?
And all the AI changes,
Yeah. I mean, I am absolutely still recommending it. When I talk about YouTube being a high leverage asset, first, the way I design a high leverage asset, I call them HLAs when I work with like our coaching clients. And, a high leverage asset is something that you create once, and then it serves you for a really long time. And sometimes it is something you create once, you optimize, and you don't have to touch it again. And sometimes it's, a growing YouTube channel where you're still publishing every week. But the whole point is something that you create that's going to serve you for a long time. And I don't think any of this is going to change YouTube in the sense that the videos that I published last year are no longer going to get views as long as they're helpful videos. So we're still building this evergreen library of content. But, YouTube is really, I think, the most AI or chat GPT proof platform. Sometimes if you're in circles like we run in, we're like, well, you can just go to Notebook LM and ask what a video is about and all that. But it's like, the average person is not doing that. So no, I'm just very much still a proponent of YouTube. But I think it's really deciding what the most important part is going to be for your business and focusing on that. The thing I caution away from is all of these updates and things like that. Like, we can panic. We can go, okay, I've got to change this. I've got to change that. But we have to remember, YouTube is over 20 years old, and it is by far has been the most consistent content platform out there. I mean, if anyone follows like Meta, Facebook and Instagram, the stuff they've been talking about the last 2 years has been insane. I remember they dropped this, I think it was the, not Christmas last year, but the year before, but it was like between Christmas and New Year's, when companies announce things they don't want people to hear about. They announce, we're going to make all these fake AI profiles and we're going to have them comment on your stuff, and it'll be good for mental health. So people feel like they're getting more comments and things like that. And people were, of course, like, what? So I don't know if I'm talking to a human anymore. So I use that as an example to say, YouTube is is so reliable. And so even with these changes, I think it's just still an incredible place to put your energy. And it's just a matter of deciding what's the thing that's going to give me the biggest return on effort, ROE. I talk about that a lot. And for me, it's absolutely going to be, long form videos once a week.
Awesome. It's funny. I think about, we think everybody's on. My parents just discovered YouTube, right? And they watch it from their TV. So I think we discount some of the if you have good content that people will watch, they will put it up on a big TV and watch it. My parents like it because it's short, so they can go and watch a whole series or whatever of somebody gardening for 45 minutes. But so I think there's still discovery that's happening with the older generation and putting stuff up on the big TV screen. I think is kind of interesting too. One of the things is Google has called this. Oh, first of all, I want to take this question from Disney Hotel Lady, because I thought it was a great one. She goes, are there requirements for AI to use your video as an answer, or is it just pulling everything it sees? So do you know that answer, Jerry?
Not officially, except to say that I'm sure it's part of the terms and conditions. There are certain things that YouTube absolutely gives you control over. For example, whether someone can remix your video or different things like that. But, once you've shared on the platform, there's I can't imagine a world where they would even give the biggest creators in the world the ability to turn off certain features, like don't give summaries, don't give, don't give my answer unless they watch the whole video.
Right.
And, I think when this news first started coming out a couple years ago, YouTube's just going to give people summaries and they don't have to watch your video. That was sort of the scary version of the story. My concern then was the AI is going to get something wrong and then somebody's going to misquote me because of whatever the summary was. But AI has gotten so good and it makes so many fewer mistakes than a couple of years ago. So I don't even know if that's a real concern. But yeah, I don't think you can opt out of this.
So, one of the things Google has called this the biggest change to YouTube, right? Like they're saying whatever they release, they always say it's the biggest thing ever. But but from you as a creator and educator and entrepreneur, do you have have you had to do a mind shift? Or are we writing for the human? Are you writing your scripts for the human or AI or both? How can we as creators wrap our mind around what we're supposed to do? Is it going to change or does it even matter?
I think it's all human. I think it's got to be human. And I think it's actually been evolving toward human even before, ChatGPT came out. Simply because back in the day, one of the reasons that YouTube recommends new and small channels more now is simply because they are able to see what the video is about, judge the quality of the video, and match it to the right person. Where back in the day, they were just using that metadata, like, okay, what's it say in the title and what's it say in the description, eventually what you said in the video. But now AI can actually see what's in the video and all these things. And so I think that as AI gets smarter, we need to write for humans more than ever. Back in the day, you wrote for robots, you researched keywords and you tried to match all of this stuff up. It was, keywords that humans were searching for. So no, I think it's absolutely all human. If you're going to have a YouTube channel that YouTube actually promotes your videos as opposed to you being the only one, begging people to go watch, then, even if YouTube surfaces you in recommended on the homepage, anywhere like that, you still have to earn that click. And so that's why I think it's got to be all human. And the more human you can be, the better.
Awesome.
Well, okay. So if we're building for human, what's the role of timestamps and chapters? Do we need to be building that still for humans? Or are we looking at keyword stuffing there? What do we think about those changes?
I don't think keyword stuffing is even a thing anymore. I have this thing that I teach that I call the low row list, and it's low ROE list, the low return on effort list. And it's all these things on YouTube that you can do that are really just distractions because the return on effort is not high enough. Because YouTube now we have, there's long form, there's shorts, there's live streams, there's memberships, there's super chats, there's so many things to worry about. And so there are many things that we just don't have to pay attention to. And so I think tags definitely falls into that. I think the chapters are important. I think this is where AI is going to pull stuff. What I'm not sure of, and what I want to start testing, is I've generally done chapters for the most part that tease what's coming up in the video rather than saying what's in the chapter. So that somebody, if they're looking at the chapters, whether they actually scroll into the description or they're just, looking along the search bar to see what else is going to be covered, I don't want it to be, I do things like, tip number 1, tip number 2, or this tip will help you increase your watch time, rather than listing out what the actual tip is. But, this kind of makes me start wondering is if the tips, or if the chapter should be named more around human language and what they would actually click. So we'll see.
Wow. So that's really interesting. Yeah. Cause I'd never thought about that. Cause to be honest, I hated doing chapters to me are like doing, show notes for podcasts. I don't think anybody likes doing them at all. And so that was one of the first things that I had AI start doing. And so that's what I've been doing too, is I have the transcript and drop it into AI and have me make the chapter marks for myself and clients. But I never thought about making it in a way that is almost like a call to action and enticing them to click on it in the ways that you were saying. That would be an interesting test. Like, is the payoff for being very specific in those chapter titles going to get you surface more in AI, or do you want the more clicks organic? So it's that balance that I think is going to be interesting. So you have to come back on and tell us the results of your test, because now I'm interested.
I mentioned earlier, these videos where I've had chunks of them coming up in search in Google for years. And I can tell you those chapter titles were usually answering a specific question. It wasn't like, this hidden feature will change everything, It was, how to find the share button when it's missing, or, different things like that. That's the kind of stuff that, would come up. And I would think that the AI would be the same way. And now that I say that out loud, that's actually still a great tease too, right? Because you have to watch to find the share button when it's missing.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. That's a great experiment we'll have to follow up on. I want to know, so we're going to be talking now about YouTube Shorts. So I want to know if you guys are posting to YouTube Shorts right now. So type daily if you post every day, weekly if you post a few times a week, or rarely if it's hit or miss, or not yet. Like, I am not doing Shorts at all. So let us know. It was really interesting with the question I asked the first segment was most people have not seen the Ask YouTube yet. I don't know if it's not because they're not on mobile, or they're not I think you said it was only for premium users, which I
think it's only premium right now. Yeah.
So if you are premium, I would really like to know if you have that on your mobile device, but also if you're posting Shorts. So I have found the most traction on Shorts right now. I think a lot of people have found that as well. But Jerry, I really am interested on your thoughts on some of the kind of this new things that are going on. Like the RPM on Shorts now supposedly is now weighted by completion rate, not just views. So what does that mean for the honest read on this? Changes the game for creators who are like, maybe chasing the algorithm a little bit for those low effort shorts? Because it's really easy now to chop up a long form video with the AI tools and have all these shorts that you can put out there. So what are your thoughts on this change?
Well, first, I think low effort shorts can still have a high completion rate, but we just have to think about it differently. It's not just taking an interview like this or your long form video and then just having a tool, take everything out of it and throwing it up and calling it good. So, but honestly, I think this is a good thing. I think anything that measures what is truly satisfying to the viewer is a good thing for us as creators, because as people are able to create more content with AI, that's more competition. And so the people that are going to make higher quality stuff are going to be rewarded. That's a good thing. It's almost crazy as I was studying up on this, because I don't really do shorts much, and we can talk about that. But as I was studying up on this, like I didn't even realize that if somebody watched 1 second of your short, like you got the same share of revenue as if somebody watched a really high quality, 60-second short twice, all the way through, like they watched it again. So, from the creator AdSense side, like this just feels fair. I'm glad that they're doing this now. But I think we can think about completion rate and really think about what's the simple way that I can get people there. And the hard part is going to be, as you called it, is pulling stuff out of existing content, simply because even though the AI sometimes is so good at doing that, it's not as good at necessarily starting with an incredible hook. And it definitely doesn't, most of the time, billboard what's going to happen in the next 45 seconds, right? So a perfect short, I did happen to release one the other day because I'm starting to dabble a little bit with them again, but it obviously gets somebody's attention. They immediately are like, oh, this is me. This is for me. This will be helpful for me. I think listicles will continue to be good in shorts where it's like, here's 3 ways, and especially for completion rate. And then as soon as you give that third way, like you're done. Or maybe you say 2 seconds to say follow for more. But that's, those are the changes that I would be thinking about is how can I still make something really, really quick? So I released one that was about, a YouTube change and basically how they are, measuring a lot of what happens after the video instead of during the video, with viewers now. And I just said, here are the 4, I think there were 4 ways that they're measuring now. And once I gave the 4th way, I shut up. Now that was a low effort short for me. I did it sitting in my car, waiting for my son to come out of the store. I just ad-libbed it. I mean, I thought of a strong hook, but I just ad-libbed it. And right now I'm importing into Descript and I've got some layouts in there so I can edit them pretty quickly. But I think, in the next 30 days, I'm going to probably have figured out a way to use like Claude and Descript together or something to where I just give it to it and then it spits it out and it's done.
That's what I do. And in fact, I actually use, because it's called Find Clips in Descript. And I actually use it a lot of times for myself and clients to actually get, that kind of a cold open that's in like a lot of podcasts. They'll take a really great thing at the beginning and slap it on there. Then the theme music comes in and then the show starts. So that's how we do it, like for Guy Kawasaki's show, because we have a lot of, really great guests with really great sound bites. But that helps me get those, because it'll do 5 at a time, that I can go and like pick the best one. And so that's really sped up things for me, finding that.
Yeah, smart.
One of the questions, because I know that short, if you want to see that short, I think you're talking about, it's actually on LinkedIn right now, is where you posted. I think I didn't see it on your shorts channel yet, but it was on LinkedIn. That's where I saw it. But one of the questions I had, because I did notice that it was in kind of a organic kind of place. It wasn't the YouTuber cool background and things like that. Do you think those, because I see polished shorts from like Diary of CEO and the Silicon Valley Girl, they're very polished from their podcast and it looks great and they have those little shorts. But I also see the organic stuff working really, really well. Well, it's just somebody like walking and talking and like you were in your car giving the thing. Do you have a opinion or idea what you think works best?
There's actually a ton of psychology around this. And I'm a big psychology geek. But I will say the reason I filmed in my car is because that's when I had time to film in my car. And so if people are trying to do daily shorts uploads, like that's the way to do it. And so I mentioned how I'm starting to dabble a little bit again with short form video. I just really didn't publish any for a while, except occasionally if I was running a promotion. And one of the things that I'm doing is, I've built this system using Cloud Code where all week, I just ramble my ideas. I hike almost every day and I just ramble my ideas while I'm hiking. And then Thursday nights, it runs this thing and it presents it as packaged ideas. And then I either, make tweaks or I ad lib off the notes, for example, with a short form video. But at the same time, if I'm going to publish even 2 short form videos a week, I'm not going to take the time to sit down here in my set with my lights necessarily to do it. Because I could be doing something better with this time. I could be making my long form video better. I can be, talking to you guys. And so that's one thing is just do it whenever you can. But there is psychology about, something looking more casual, more authentic. And I heard somebody say a while ago, they said, I film as many places as I can because I think that makes me more believable as a human as AI avatars are coming out.
Oh, that's a good point.
Oh, interesting.
Now, I can say that some of these platforms like TikTok just announced, AI avatars where you can literally, you're like, you describe, you choose your avatar and then you're like, where do you want them to be? In the bedroom, in the bathroom? Like you can choose locations. It's really getting unreal. But I thought that was an interesting insight of, the more places I am, then the more likely someone is to trust that I'm human. But here's the thing that I like about the car is I think for that video, it gave a feeling of, hey, this is so important. I had to stop and tell you about it, as opposed to, all right, breaking news. I'm here in the studio and it's, here's this prepared thing. Yeah. And so that's where I think those walk and talks can be really, really powerful. And so after Social Media Marketing World this year, I actually saw a talk on LinkedIn, and it was this guy who's just crushing it with LinkedIn video that they were profiling. And he basically films all his shorts running. And he happens to travel the world. So sometimes he's like running in front of the Taj Mahal and, like things like that. So it's pretty spectacular. It's much better looking than just my mountains. But my thought was, I just record all my shorts while I'm hiking every day. I can do that. I can keep up with that.
That's really cool. Yeah. Mine would be at Buc-ee's, probably in Texas.
Yeah. Well, so I've been doing a lot with the Facebook content monetization, and I'm starting to see some things over on YouTube where they're trying to they're playing with the daily upload bonus and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you think it's worth creators going after these kinds of bonuses? And Meta's also trying to counteract some of that with their what is the offer to take YouTubers over to Reels, and they're paying them $3,000 a month if you switch over. For the YouTube creator, do you start playing in these little bonuses and playing the platforms against each other, or going for the shorts bonus? Or like you said, are these distractions?
I mean, as someone who is trying to, focus on my business and, be done by lunch every day and make sure I have time for other things, even tracking that stuff sounds exhausting. Like, all right, if I do this, if I do that, like some people that are like the most successful affiliate marketers in the world, they're constantly thinking about, all right, how do I optimize this? Where do I do this? And if your brain works that way, I think that's great. But that's my initial reaction to that. I do think, though, sometimes there is something to be said for trying something. And I think it's important, though, that you give it a decent amount of time to try it. And so when I started my YouTube channel, I got a text message last week from my friend Neil, and he was saying, I see, your channel and, it looks great. Just watch this video. He goes, I remember when you said, I'm going to throw up 52 videos and see what happens. And that was how I started my YouTube channel. So I'm going to publish one long form video a week for a year and see what happens. And I almost quit a bunch of times, but had I not made that commitment, I definitely would have quit. But so if you were going to try this, I would probably say, okay, yes, let me try this for 30 full days. I think too often what we do is we go, let me try this. And then 3 days in, we get tired and we quit. Mm-hmm. And one of my things that I've just started trying lately is posting more content on other platforms, which includes these short form videos. And at first I just did more written content because YouTube is my primary and probably will be unless it goes away someday. And so now I'm posting back on Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook. And I'm like literally 2 weeks in, I can see the results already. And I told myself I'm going to do this for 6 months before I quit just to see. So sometimes that's all you need is like, try it for, I think with this, I would try it for 30 days, probably at least. But I personally, I wouldn't worry about the changes between platforms. I would just keep putting my stuff everywhere.
Very cool. That's kind of my thoughts. I like to I say everything's a broadcast platform. I want to be as many platforms as I can. That makes sense. And technology helps a lot with that. We mentioned Descript earlier. Repurpose.io is another one that I use a lot of to go everywhere at once and use that for my clients as well. One of the things, though, I'm still wrapping my mind around it as a creator and even like helping other people run their stuff. So like this Gemini Omni is now inside of the Shorts remix and the YouTube Creator app, and you can prompt your way into a remix of somebody else's shorts. So I've always wondered about, like, is it a smart idea? I mean, I know you can turn that off so people can't remix your stuff, but for a small business owner who's not a video editor, is this a unlock that people can use to create more content, or does it kind of dilute what you're doing? Because I know remixes are popular, or doing reaction videos to other shorts are popular. I just don't, I get made fun of with the beard enough, right? Like, so people take that and I'm like, I mean, I've had all sorts of people call me things on YouTube. So I'm like, is that a smart idea? Should I turn off it? I mostly just ignore it, but I'd love to know your thoughts on the whole remix thing.
Well, my initial thing is if a new feature comes out and it's like, oh, turn it off, vidIQ sort of sent out this email like, have you turned this off, which is a fair warning for some people. But when those things happen, I'm a big believer in leave everything on until there's an actual issue. Sometimes when I work with somebody that's new to YouTube and they're like, but I don't want any comments turned on my videos. I want commenting off on all my videos. Can I have commenting off? And they have obviously some sort of trauma that in their life that's making them feel that way. And, we'll talk through that if it's a client. But, obviously we know the benefit of YouTube comments and getting more views and all that kind of thing. So I'm a big fan of like, leave it on until there's a problem and just know in the back of your mind you can turn it off. But when it comes to this, I haven't had a chance to play with it, but it is, it's absolutely something that, if we're going to the dark side, could be very dangerous, right?
Right. Yeah.
It could be dangerous and fun, or it could be dangerous and dangerous because, reading about it, it's like, yeah, you can take somebody else's and then put yourself in the video with them. And if you are if it's positive, like, hey, look, I'm here with Jeff C. and my beard's longer than his, or whatever. Like, that's fun, right?
Which will happen.
That's cool.
Which would happen, yeah.
Or Paul, for people listening to the podcast, Paul's got an R2D2 shirt on today. So it's like, and look, I've got a C3PO shirt on, and, here's Paul with his R2D2 shirt on. Like, that's fun. Yeah. So, but I think as far as us worrying about it, I'm a big fan of leaving things on until they become a problem. Now, is this a big unlock? Again, this all comes down to how much time do you have? What's the return on effort? So, when I'm encouraging people to start a YouTube channel, I have a system where we set it up so you can do it in 90 minutes, about 90 minutes a week. Part of that is letting go of perfectionism. Part of that is getting, doing none of the things on the distraction list or that low return on effort list that I have. And this is absolutely a distraction at this point, at least as of today, because you have to go in, you have to figure out how to use it. You have to work on your phone, which is my worst nightmare.
Right, exactly.
I don't want to create anything.
I feel you. Yeah.
Yeah. On my phone. So yeah, I think it's a distraction at this point. Unless somebody had a very specific use case. So if you were I don't know why this popped into my head because they barely exist anymore. I was going to say, if you were like a music store and all of a sudden you could remix artist videos and put yourself in them and say the album's on sale, that's dating myself. But, if you had a very specific use case, I think it might be fun to play with. But for when this stuff comes out, unless your brain immediately goes, I know what I could do with that. If you're time strapped, I think you just let it go. I don't think there's enough of an early adopter bonus for most people for it to be worth that.
So it's interesting to me. I think of it as a liability thing. Like if you're at Disney and you're doing a live stream and you whistle zippity doo dah, they'll ban your stream. So I'm like, and now we're using AI to rip people, and put them in the video. I don't know. That just seems like a big liability thing for me. That was going to bite them in the rear end later. So
have you turned yours off?
I haven't yet, but now I'm going to probably because I don't know. I haven't decided what I'm kind of like you. A lot of times I'll leave it on until I get in trouble or something bad happens. But who knows? We'll see.
I wait 24 hours so I can make my
your beard video. Okay, I'll wait. Yeah, there we go.
Well, and you're talking about AI or music. There's the new Reimagine tool where you can generate some AI music or replace copyright violations. What are these, how do you think about these as far as adding that to your workload or workflow? Is that another distraction, or do we need to be looking at using these kind of AI tools to help us generate music?
Well, on the marketing side, I love the way that it'll, like, if you have a copyright violation, like it'll actually go in and replace your music. I mean, that's massive rather than having your content just die. Right. You can actually preserve your views and things like that. Like I love this week, I used the built-in YouTube editing tool to take a chunk out of my video. And I get to preserve all the views, right? So I love that kind of stuff. Music is an interesting thing. YouTube did a big study a couple of years ago, and they connected sensors to people's brains to find out what leads to viewer satisfaction. Sorry if anybody is squeamish about that, but what they found was that an emotional connection with the video or the person in the video has 10 times the effect on viewer satisfaction than any sort of production value. So from that, one of the things that I love to tell people is like, you don't need fancy editing in order to be successful on YouTube. It's really more about what it's your script or what you say and the order you say it in. Of course, your titles and your thumbnails. Like we know those are the big three. But when it comes to production value, what I do say is if the music, for example, in this discussion, enhances the emotional feeling of the video, then it's probably worth it. If you're just filling pauses with it, then it's not worth taking the time to do anything with music.
Very cool. Speaking of music, we have a really quick word from our sponsors.
When Your show deserves the very best. Ecamm stands above the rest. Ecamm.com/Jeff, won't you see? Broadcasting brilliance, easy as can be.
That's right. Thank you to Ecamm for sponsoring the show. We appreciate them and all they do. But Jerry, I wanted to ask really quick, and I mean, I knew we had too many questions, but I want to ask this one specifically because you teach people to build a business in half the time. So if a creator only has like 60 minutes, only has 60 minutes a week for like short form, where would you tell them to go spend their time right now, giving some of these new changes that we're seeing?
Well, with some of these updates, like YouTube actually said, if you upload a short every day, you'll potentially get a bonus boost, make more money, things like that. I would strongly suggest, well, to be clear up front, like generally what I teach is don't pay attention to shorts. That the return on effort is not as high. And like I would take the 60 minutes to make a long form personally. But that being said, if you're going to focus on shorts, I would think about high value, low effort shorts. Lean into your expertise. One thing I think that you could do really well if you were trying to publish frequently on shorts is if you're in an industry that has a lot of news, then I would set up something in AI where it aggregates the news for you every day and then gives you like 5 shorts ideas. And then while you're sitting in the car waiting to pick up your kids or on a hike, or you can go into your office, just crank them out like that. So that's that first part I think is on the front end is streamline the ideation. So you're never having to like think of things over and over again. When somebody starts a new channel, they're like, I got all the ideas. Right. And then 11 videos in, they're like, there are no more ideas. And then the second thing is I would say, find out how to stream the back end. So basically you're staying the human in the middle. You are in charge of, you're being human. You are speaking the way that you actually speak. You're not saying things that hopefully that AI wrote, like not this, not that, it's this, and honestly, and all of these cringeworthy phrases that we see from all the AI content. And then on the back end, find a real easy way to edit them. 2 years ago, I would have said, just do it in real time and hit upload. Don't worry about it. But like as though it's a live stream. But now there's just so many tools where you can drop something in and have a polished short with the pauses taken out and really nice looking captions in 5 minutes.
Very cool.
Nice. So I have a question. Because I'm more in the face. I have YouTube, but I'm definitely more in the Facebook world. In Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, they have all become interest-based platforms, not necessarily you have to have a big following. Now they're surfacing just based on the viewer's interest. Where is YouTube on that? Is if I'm starting a channel, do I need to have my channel as a very niche subject, or can I be more broad now and post lots of different topics on my channel?
Oh, YouTube's the OG. Everybody else is copying YouTube. And even LinkedIn. That was one of the big things at Social Media Marketing World. And I think, as I said, as I'm posting more now in the last couple of weeks, the reason I'm starting to see increased reach is because I'm no longer posting things from my network. I'm literally only talking about YouTube. And so, but YouTube was the original. And I really think the more narrow, like if you're going to start a new channel, the more narrow you can be, the better, because it's all about how quickly can YouTube find the audience for your videos. So just to give you, an idea, one thing that I talk about is I talk about setting up a channel filter, and there's 3 parts. One is, who are you talking to? The more specific you can be, the better. So, once Jeff starts his beard grooming channel, if it's just for anybody, anyone who has beards, like that could be a lot of people, but that also could be a lot of people, right? So if we could get more narrow from that, he's going to do better. So for example, if I was going to start it, like my channel right now is for online entrepreneurs. It's way too broad. If I was starting over, it would probably be just for coaches, or it might be more specific than that. It might be just health coaches, or it might be just whole food, plant-based nutrition health coaches, because the more you can nail who you're talking to, then the easier it is for YouTube to go, oh, we know who this person is. I have a client, and I was like, so what's your who? And she goes, I work with badass female coaches. And I said, okay, YouTube doesn't know who's badass and who's not, but they do know female coaches, so we can start with that. Yeah. So it's your who, what are they chasing, and then what are they escaping? So my channel is online entrepreneurs, too broad, grow a lead generating YouTube channel, without it taking over their whole life. Like the ultimate promise is, you can get started in 90 minutes a week, but they're escaping, becoming a full-time creator, and they're chasing this lead generating YouTube channel. So I think, if you're starting something new, it needs to be narrow and it needs to be interest-based, just like on the other platforms, because it's not a platform decision. The reason that Facebook and Instagram, are doing this is because that's where the consumer behavior is now. When they see things they're interested in, they keep the app open longer, and Meta makes more money.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about the dollars. So you just covered this on your channel, and it's on the long form side. YouTube has actually shifted from rewarding watch time during the video to rewarding what happens after, which I thought was really fascinating. I thought it was a great hook, by the way. And your four big signals were shares, rewatches, and the viewer continuing to watch more YouTube and post-video satisfaction surveys, which you mentioned before. So for a creator who's been optimizing for watch time for years, so is there anything they need to unlearn? Is watch time still the thing that you need to, that's your optimal goal that you're trying to get them, to watch the entire thing all the way to the end? Is that still the biggest goal that you want as a creator?
It's never going to hurt to focus on watch time and retention. So that's not going away, but these additional signals are the type of thing that, if you have high watch time, are probably going to happen anyway. So, but it's just something to, I think, keep in mind as you are creating your content. If somebody watches all the way through, they generally are more satisfied and they're more likely to tell YouTube that in a survey, right? If somebody is satisfied, they're more likely to share your video. If somebody is satisfied or they want to go deeper, they might rewatch your video. So I don't think it's definitely not either or. They both still matter. In fact, I think, when we're thinking about the years of people padding their YouTube videos for watch time, like, oh yeah, just make longer videos, you can make more money from AdSense. That's the thing that I think a lot of this is cracking down on right now, is we've got to tighten up our videos. We've got to make our content better. And this plays back to everything we've talked about today. The AI answers, all of it. There is no filling with fluff anymore, because, if you've got, like, you can still have one hook, right? It's important to have that one good hook. But if it's a 22-minute video and revealing the hook, the answer literally takes 10 seconds, those are the videos that I think are going to be hurt by, summaries and Ask YouTube and things like that.
Got it.
Yeah. So let's talk about how we get those other signals. I think we all watch YouTube videos where, like, a Graham Stephan, he does a great job. The call to actions. Did I lock up?
You're good. Keep going.
Okay. Sorry. And, call to actions, hit the subscribe button. But if we're looking for shares, to me, that's a little more difficult. So what's some tactical ways we can get people to hit the share button?
So asking for shares, a lot of people are uncomfortable with it, right? It feels desperate. Sometimes it comes across as desperate too. If you're going to ask for anything, you always want to do it with the benefit of the viewer in mind. So if this was helpful and somebody else it would help, then share it with them. Like, if I'm going to ask for a share, I'm going to do it with something like that, because then they're going, oh my gosh, yes, I know somebody else is going through this right now. I'm going to share it with them. That makes them look good. But I like to do more subtle ways of getting people, to share. Sharing across social platforms. The New York Times did this big study a few years ago, and almost every reason comes down to identity. Like, I'm sharing this because it makes me look good. I'm sharing this because it reflects who I am. So, for example, I share Seattle Seahawks content. I share Claude stuff right now with a couple of friends because we're just all about Claude and living in that world with Claude. And so those are kind of, those types of things are the reasons people share. But what I like to do is do a little bit more subtle, hints at why you should share something. So for example, thank people for sharing generically. You'd be amazed that if you said, hey, thanks to everyone who shared my videos lately, that subtle suggestion makes somebody goes, oh, maybe I should share this video. It's social proof too. You can thank specific people for sharing. If you really want to track it, hey, hey, thanks to last video on this topic. That can go really well. And then, another one that I think is really easy is just say, hey, if someone shared this video with you, tell them that I said thank you. Again, you're just kind of putting that out there, and it's got a little social proof built into it too.
So
Nice.
I'm going to go ahead and I only have a couple minutes left, so I want to have plenty of time for you to talk about Done by Lunch. But one of the things that really stopped me on your channel was that the viewer who shares, rewatches, or stays on YouTube after your video is going to be your warmest lead. Like, that's one of the things you said. It's like, that's the person who's going to be, stays there, watches your whole thing. They're the warmest lead for your next offer. So I really want you to try to explain that to maybe people or small business owners or solopreneurs who haven't really thought that way in the past. Like, how does this new kind of algorithm, some of these changes we talked about today, actually feed your sales funnel if you set it up right?
Yeah, well, so part of that was just, I said that just so that people didn't panic thinking, okay, now I can't get leads because I have to ask for shares or anything like that. Fortunately, on the human side, it's the same thing. Like, if your video is so good that they shared it, especially if they shared it with a specific person, then at that point, now not only did they share your content, introduce somebody else to your content, but now they're talking to their friend about your content, hopefully you and your business. So, I mean, what's better than that? Imagine the other friend says, oh yeah, I know Paul. Paul's great. I know Jeff. Jeff's great. And it's like, oh, really? Okay, let me look deeper into their stuff. So that's one way. Another one is, if videos are getting rewatched, that person, I almost look at it as sometimes they're just trying to see something up close, right, that you had on the screen.
Right.
But I look at it as, if we're having a conversation with our viewer, we're trying to build that know, like, and trust. That rewatch is almost like if you're telling a story and somebody pulls their chair a little closer, right? They lean in. And so these are all signals that absolutely make your person much more likely to become somebody who is going to pay you for something. So I think when we are going for those same signals, it helps our business. As far as actually getting people into the business, I like to talk about seeding constantly, where I mentioned earlier, you just mentioned how a client asked me this question, those types of things. But more than that, look at some people are uncomfortable talking about the paid part of their business, but look at your free content and then look at your paid stuff and then create your free stuff based around that. So it's easy to mention. Like, actually, you have a deep dive on this in my membership, where I have a course or a workshop where I help private clients with this all the time, but let me give you the high level overview. And then the last thing, as far as leads on YouTube, I like to talk about how people on YouTube are busy. You cannot spend 30 seconds going, hey, go get this so free. Right. It's so great. Of course, it's free. And so instead of lead magnets, I like to call them need magnets. We need to take every reason we're giving somebody to move forward in our world, and it's got to be something you can pitch in 5 seconds that they really need. They need to hear it and go, oh, gosh, yeah, I don't know that. I need that right now. Because once you've done that, you can not only convert way more views into leads, but you can also mention them more than one time. In a 10-minute video, you could plug 3 different things or plug it 3 different times because, again, it's 5 seconds. It's not killing your watch time.
That's awesome. So,
Nice.
gosh, I have so many questions, but the last question, Jerry, and this is kind of where your work really lives. With all these changes, the pressure to do more is real. Like, we're saving all this time with AI, but we're filling it up with more stuff to do, right? So, yeah. How does your Done by Lunch framework apply, like, right now? What's the one thing that creators should add to their week, and what's one thing they should drop?
So Done by Lunch is all about doing things that give you a high return on effort, and more than that, things that are going to serve you into the future and not just right now. And so that's why I try and do everything in my business. And so the main thing is give yourself permission to focus on what's actually important. But if you are going to stop doing things that only have an impact today, and then start doing only things as much as you can. I know we all have to answer emails, but as much as you can, only do things. Go, hey, is this still going to be benefiting? Is this video I'm making right now is still going to help me in 6 months? Great. Then I'm going to work on this. And if it's not, then consider something else.
That is great. Make sure you guys go check out at Mr. Jerry Potter over on YouTube. That's how you can find his channel. Great stuff. Done by Lunch is amazing. He's always a wealth of information. I always like hanging out with him at conferences and watching his YouTube channel, all that stuff. So, Jerry, thank you so much for being here today. This was wonderful, as always. Thank you so much for
thank you both.
And Mr. Paul Gowder, where can people find out more about the amazing Mr. Paul Gowder?
Yeah, come on, check us out, paulgowder.com. And we have a challenge to help you create content on Facebook if you want to get better at that and get more consistent. Check it out, Facebook, paulgowder.com/Facebook challenge.
And thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Disney Hotel Lady, Johnny Bean, but mostly Disney, Dustin Stout, as always. Thank you guys for showing up, because we have
the Creator News Live chat room, the best chat room in the world.
Have a great week, everybody. Have a great weekend. We will see you next time.